so much for joining us today. We're very excited for this event, with the lovely Pam. I think we can just go ahead and start off by introducing ourselves, crossing your semester, school number, your job, tribe, any other fun facts. Yeah,
My whole life,
yes,
yes.
all
So,
of
hello everyone, greetings. So my name is Pamela Mises Rosario Perez. My sister name, which is also my Taino and Yoruba name, is Anikaili. My line name, which is also part of my Taino Yoruba name, is Kailawo. Spring 2013, I went to Harvard University where I concentrated on social and cognitive neuroscience, and I focused my lab and my research work on dissociative disorders and schizophrenia mainly, also focusing on reward-driven behavior, motivation, and collaboration. And I am from the Dominican Republic. The name of my tribe is Higuayawa Taino. That's the community that I am a part of and very active in, both politically and socially and in all the ways. It's actually a New England Taino Yucayeke, which is the Taino name for community or tribe. Um, and what I am is Quisqueya Taino, meaning that I'm from the Dominican Republic. But I'm initiated as a Quisqueya Taino, but also as a Misoko Buiti practitioner, which is a Gabon tribe. So I honor both my African lineages as well as my native lineages from the Americas. So that's a little bit on me.
Thank you so much. Do you want to introduce yourself, then?
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Jasmine. I'm the Pi chapter president. I'm studying pharmacy, so this is a great, I'm really excited for this event. I'm really excited to talk about herbal medicines. I crossed into the Pi chapter summer 2021, number 4.
Hello, everyone. My name is Catherine. I go by Kat. I go to Harvard College. I'm a junior, and I was initiated into the Pi chapter fall 2022. So it's about to be a year. I'm the current vice president and membership chair.
All right, so to get into the good stuff, Pam, what is herbal medicine?
I mean, I think it is as it sounds. It is medicine that is derived from the herbs, from Mother Nature herself. I think it is a very unfortunate fact of this society that people have grown to associate medicine with pills, with chemicals that are made in a lab. But the reality is that even those, pills made in a lab were created after a lot of botanical studies and a lot of researchers and scientists being sent to the jungle, to the savannas, to different areas to study animals, to study plants, right? See, oh, when a tiger gets cut, where does it go? What does it do? What tree, what bark does it rub on in order to heal? How quickly does it heal? And then from that research, they go ahead and create a chemical compound that they can market and they can commercialize and, profit off of. But to be honest, I mean, for millennia, the way that people have healed, the way that people have been able to improve their health and their well-being is by going to Mother Nature and, getting medicine, getting healing from nature itself.
And then how did your interest in herbal medicine come about? What caused the shift from being pre-med neuroscience at Harvard to an indigenous medicine provider?
So what caused the shift was me getting cancer in 2020. So I, was studying all of that great stuff, neuroscience at Harvard. There's different life reasons why I ended up going into finance and political strategy and then tech. In tech, I was doing cybersecurity and innovation strategy, all great things. I was corporate mommy, out here, started a real estate company, was growing that, everything was beautiful. And then bam, I got colon cancer. I got colon cancer at the height of COVID. And it was a really difficult time, as you guys all remember, for anyone in healthcare. It was really low bandwidth. People were being stretched thin because of the need and the lack of understanding around COVID. Every single doctor, from gastroenterology to pediatricians to podiatrists were sent to COVID wards. So it was really, really difficult for me to get the care that I needed in that time of my life. So I ended up having to face the fact that I may die because I wasn't being able to be scheduled in a proper time frame for surgery to remove my cancerous polyps, my cancerous tumors in my colon. So I thankfully was dating somebody who was Taino at that time. And, he was the one who told me, hey, you should go back to your ancestral medicines and give it a try. And, you know, even though I had come from a medicine family, I was raised in the mountains, I was raised in the countryside with all of these things. I had a hard time believing that it was going to make a difference in my life because I was so sold on the Western version of medicine. My mind was so colonized. So I tried it not thinking that it was going to work, but then it did. And it dissolved my cancerous tumors. It dissolved them, and I was feeling much better than I even felt before, than I had ever felt. And that's really what opened my eyes to the power that is in nature.
Yeah, no, that sounds amazing. Oh my goodness. For our next question, what role do your indigenous roots play in the practice of herbal medicine?
I mean, is where I got all of my medicinal training. And honestly, it's not that complicated and it's not that unique. I think many of us, especially folks coming from the diaspora, you know, the African and indigenous diaspora, people coming from the Caribbean, people coming from all sorts of places in South America, and honestly, even abroad, right? If you get sick, you have a cold or whatever, I'm sure somebody in your family knows a jarabe. They know a remedy, you know, onion with garlic and ginger and whatever. Somebody knows how to make a tea. And that is really where healing comes from. You know, it's funny because once education and college and all of these other things, industrialization, you know, changed the way that education looks like. And then all of these degrees and all these things kind of started coming into play. People felt like, oh, things are not valid or they're not intelligent, they're not worthy if they don't come from Harvard research, you know, if they don't come from Cornell, they're not coming from Stanford, Johns Hopkins, whatever. But the reality is that our indigenous medicines, like ese té that your grandmother used to do, you know, like that tea, you know, with like laurel leaves and lavender and chamomile, like all of those things really work. And even when you look at a lot of the medications today, and even some of the things that doctors have begun to, you know, recommend when you're on your, you know, menstrual period and it's painful, now some of them are even saying, hey, do chamomile tea, like do chamomile floral baths. And that is something that has existed in our traditions, you know, back in El Campo, back in the countryside for a very, very long time. But because now we're having more scientific research proving things that we already knew, or I guess I would better say demonstrating the effectiveness of things that we've been know, there's more, you know, excitement generated around our ancestral medicines. But the reality is that we don't have to wait for Harvard or some other institution to prove what we already know. And I think that's something that really excites me about the future of herbal medicine, is that more indigenous people and more allies are getting trained by indigenous people and doing the research to elevate them, but also just sharing them with the world and educating themselves in the jungle, because there's so much beauty and just high science in Mother Nature. And it's about time that it got spread to people, because not, you know, lab-made medication doesn't work for everybody. It works for some people. It's sometimes effective, but I think it's always nice if you can find something that is an organic compound that your body can truly break down, and there's like an option, a solution in nature that's just always going to work better with your body than something that is fabricated in a laboratory, because we are not fabricated in laboratories. So it is by definition unnatural to our bodies and has a higher likelihood to hurt us versus healing us.
Yeah, no, I definitely think you mentioned something really fascinating that I definitely thought about. So about the creation of knowledge, like who are the people that establish knowledge as worthy? It's not people
Right.
that, not people who like our ancestors. It's definitely really fascinating to think about. Next, what are some examples of herbal remedies that you have benefited from or have seen your community benefit from?
Oh my God, how long do we have? I love this question. Thank you for asking it. So there's so many things. Even, you know, my journey has mainly been around gut health. So, and colon cancer. So what I would say is, in terms of cleaning out my gut, resetting my digestive system entirely, I would say Cambo, which is the Amazonian tree frog, was extremely helpful. Iboga, which is a medicine that hails from the Central African jungle, you know, Gabon, Cameroon. That is also a medicine that's extremely helpful in eliminating candida and a whole bunch of other issues, overgrowth, parasites, bacteria, unhealthy bacteria in the gut, and just like resetting, you know, your digestive system. But also they're just massive detoxers. They're very deep detoxers. So if you just have an excess of anything that doesn't belong in your body, too much sugar, too much salt, too much minerals or vitamins that are not getting absorbed by your body, it pulls it out and it allows you to purge it so that your body can be in homeostasis, your body can be in balance. So I would say Iboga and Cambo are really fantastic medicines. For people with depression and anxiety, I've seen, you know, Cambo and Iboga also be extremely helpful. I've also seen, you know, with some people, some types of depression, I've seen DMT medicines like ayahuasca, like jojoba, which is also known as yopo, you know, be very helpful. But, you know, for people that have manic depressive disorders like bipolar 1 or 2, that medicine, DMT medicines, do have a high risk for manic episodes. So if you're not sitting with an indigenous trained person or an indigenous person who is able to really help you, you know, navigate that experience, and you don't have the time to spend 2, 3, 4, 5 months in the jungle working with that person, then it's probably best for you to not do ayahuasca and for you to do something that is just a more contained, more steady, more reliable medicine like Cambo, which is not a psychoactive, or Iboga. But I want to caveat that with, like, I was just quickly talking about entheogens, you know, and some plant medicines that people may not know that well. However, I've seen so many things. Beets, beetroot, amazing for menstrual health. Chamomile, amazing for menstrual and reproductive health. Lavender, great for anxiety. Valerian root, great for people that have insomnia. You know, there's so many medicines out there. Mugwort, really helpful if you're trying to, you know, dream more, do more problem solving in your dreams. The list goes on and on as far as like things that can really help people regulate their mood, or even sleep better, sleep deeper. If you're trying to open up your appetite, like, there's so many things in nature that are just like, honestly, quick fixes, quick natural fixes for very common human problems.
And then next, we want to know, what is your role in sharing herbal medicine with others? And have you ever faced stigma or disbelief in herbal medicine when conversing with others?
Yeah, so you know what's funny? I thought that I would receive more conflict, I would receive more resistance. People have been receiving it with open arms, if I'm being honest. And I think it's because people are getting tired of Western medicine. And although I know a lot of amazing doctors, I know quite a few, you know, friends of mine, peers of mine, when we were all pre-med, who are incredible doctors, even doctors that I have had that are incredible doctors. They're in the medicine space with the best of intentions. They really want to help people. But I think something that folks don't realize is that Western medicine is not necessarily synonymous with healing, right? If you really look into the hospital system, it's a business, right? With any business, you're trying to create profit. You're trying to manage clients, clientele, you know, that demographic. You're trying to make sure that you're able to have a process, have a structure. And what I think a lot of people are realizing is that the hospital system tends to be very good at treating symptoms and numbing symptoms and not treating the root cause, right? Because a hospital, a doctor doesn't have the bandwidth or the time. A nurse doesn't have the bandwidth or the time to spend 5 weeks with someone, asking them all sorts of questions, researching their home life, speaking with their parents, speaking with their kids, and doing all of this work in order to find, hey, what is a root cause of this issue? Maybe it's something that started with your great-grandmother and your dad's side. Nobody in the Western medical field really has time or is even compensated to do that. And I think something that people are realizing is that the way we've looked at health has been in a profit model. And when you think about it, there is no profit in healing. If I heal you and you never come back, I'm not creating recurrent customers. So now I'm going to go out of business, right? Indigenous medicine is not like that at all. We're trying to find the root cause and address that so you don't come back. And if you do come back, you have different problems, not the same thing that you came to us with, right? So I think that people are going through their own different process in understanding, okay, well, you know what? Western medicine serves me well in this way, but it doesn't help me in that other way. So it's been really interesting. I have people come to me, who are tech CEOs, who are in finance. There's a lot of people who are athletes, who are, you know, veterans, people who are celebrities, singers, artists, creatives, professors. I treat a lot of elders, both indigenous, black and brown elders, and also like just older people, 70, you know, age 70 and up, who are professors or retired police officers, retired combat veterans, people who are Christian, Presbyterian, Catholic, all over the place, Mormon, all over the place, Hasidic Jews, all over, you know, when it comes to countries, creed, and so on, because real recognize real. And at the end of the day, you know, they're grown as people. They've been through the process. They know when they're being, you know, given BS. And at this point, they're ready to heal. They're not here for a charlatan who's going to sell them on dreams. They're here to get their, you know, their issues sorted and move on with their life. So I think that's part of the reason why I actually don't get a lot of resistance. If anything, I've been incredibly surprised with the number of people and how diverse, Muslims, you know, just Jewish people, just all types of people coming to me for, you know, indigenous treatments. So it's really been a beautiful journey, if I'm being honest.
And can you describe a little bit about the journey that one goes through when pursuing herbal medicine? Like, how did they come to you and how did they come out the other side victorious?
Yeah, well, what I would say is people come to me with all sorts of questions, especially folks who are college educated and they, you know, they have advanced degrees and all that. They want to understand every single detail. Like, how does this work? And I'm like, hey, listen, I am happy. Thankfully, now I have the privilege of, you know, using so many different scientific articles. I consume a lot of scientific research. I still am very, very close with all my Harvard friends who went into medicine, who went into research, who went into neuroscience, who went into neurology, who went into psychiatry. So, and others who went to, you know, to different but adjacent fields. So we talk all the time. And it's really helpful because when people want to talk about nitty-gritty scientific details and whatnot, I'll go ahead and send them that research. I'm like, oh, you want to talk about bioactive peptides? I got you. You want to talk about neuroplasticity? I got you. I love that. I'm a huge nerd. I love neuroscience. I love facts. I love truth. So we can have that conversation. But really, where the healing begins is when you come to someone and just have a real ass conversation of, hey, dude, I got an MD, PhD, I got 10 awards, I'm on Forbes 30 under 30, and I am miserable. I am suicidal. I am la 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 la, you know, and they go down the list, and it's really hard for them to have those conversations because people are looking at them and it's like, you have everything. You have the perfect wife, the perfect house, the perfect career. How can you be sad? And they get a lot of negation of their experiences. So they feel that they can't speak to anyone. So I always tell people, hey, whatever questions you have, just reach out to me. You don't have to have the perfect wording. You don't have to do research on your own. Just hit me up and I'll get you sorted, right? I give a medical form. Everything that I do, every single ceremony that I do, I need to clear people medically. I speak with cardiothoracic nurses and other people in my network who are indigenous, who know this medicine and also know, right, Western medicine. I get EKGs, I get blood work, I process all of that information, and then I point people in the right direction. Sometimes, you know, it is a, hey, you need to sit with Iboga, or you need to sit with psilocybin, and I'll facilitate that. Sometimes it's, baby, you got to sit down and drink water. You know, sometimes it's, oh, you got to talk to your doctor and ask for a metabolic panel or ask them to do this and that test, right? So even if it's something that I don't have the ability to help with, I'll go ahead and point them in the right direction, because I think that it just saddens me because of the way that the hospital systems are set up. People sometimes are not even getting the proper tests to assess what's going on. So it is possible that their healing comes from, you know, a hospital system, allopathic medicine, but the nurses, the doctors, they're so rushed. They're not asking the right questions. So it's really hard to get to the right solutions. There's a lot of one size fits all, you know, medicines that are given out. Oh yeah, here, opiates, benzodiazepines. Now all of a sudden you're freaking addicted. And now you came in, you know, to the hospital because your arm was hurting. And now you're leaving with a benzodiazepine addiction, you know, to Xanax, to the diazepams, to like all of that. So I just really encourage people, if you have any questions, just reach out to me. I'm happy to answer. I'm an open book. I do, my consultations do have a fee, but I always give discounts to people in need, so I'm always just happy to help, like however needed, because sometimes you don't know what you don't know. And I don't want, that to be a deterrent at all to getting the information that you need to make the right choices with your health.
And I think that's really important. I think a lot of the stigma of herbal medicine comes from fear. I think a lot of people don't know that much about it. They're not taught about this in school. But I think it's really important that you continue educating people about it, because the more people know, the more that they'll trust it. And all of herbal medicine is already rooted in science. So I think that's a really important part in helping debunk all of the myths around herbal medicine and really improve its validity. But on a more fun note, where have these practices taken you? Like, where around the world have you been?
Oh my God, where have I not been yet? I'm excited to, very soon explore more of Asia, because I love traditional Chinese medicine, Qigong and all that. So I haven't yet worked with traditional healers, in those areas. I've worked with traditional healers and, Qigong masters and acupuncturists and all that in the United States, but not in Asia. So that's something that I am excited for. But so far, Zimbabwe, Gabon, I spent a lot of time in the African jungle and the African savanna, South Africa, Zambia, the Dominican Republic, of course, that's my roots. So I spent a lot of time in the countryside learning from my grandparents and great-grandparents and aunts and uncles and all the other medicine people in my family. I'm going to be going to the Brazilian Amazon in a few weeks. I'm going to be going to do ceremonies in the Dominican Republic again in February. Then I'll be jumping over to the Colombian Amazon. And then I'm going to be doing ceremonies in Nigeria. All over. All over. And I think that's a beautiful thing, because there are some countries where spirituality and natural medicine and all these things never lost their value. So even in the boardroom, people are asking, hey, what's the spirit of this deal? Do we actually want to invest in that land? What is the energy of that land? So I'm actually brought into a lot of business conversations to assess, like, how best can we think through this project in a clear-minded, straightforward, ethical way, right? So I'm excited to see that shift in the United States. I know some people are already doing it, but really bringing in emotional intelligence and spiritual knowledge with business acumen is such a power move. And it's really cool, because what it has transformed into is, for example, I see this in Africa all the time. People will go across the table and start collaborating with people that they wouldn't naturally collaborate, because they know that they have the spiritual knowledge that will provide them with information that they need to make better business decisions. So I think that's amazing. I'm super impressed by that every single time I see it. Zimbabwe is one of those places. Nigeria is one of those places. South Africa is one of those places. So I absolutely love how they go about that. And I see them making really good business decisions. There's so many entrepreneurs there with amazing ideas. And I'm excited for that shift to happen in the United States, because people think business is just, stoic. Listen, business is deeply emotional. Business is deeply emotional, especially as an entrepreneur. Like, it's your baby. Your company is like your baby. You're creating something. You're bringing it to life. You're trying to assess, market fit and all of these things. There's a lot of passion involved. But just because there's a lot of passion and emotion involved does not mean that it is devoid of logic. You need to have a healthy balance of emotion and logic. And that is something that I hope to see in the United States.
Yeah, so up next, what do you wish you saw more of in Western medicine treatment? And if you could change anything in the curriculum of healthcare professionals, what would you add?
Oh my God, yes. So I would say something that I hope to see is, I kind of have a list. I'll try to keep it at 3. Hold myself accountable, because I know I can be long-winded. I do hope to see more people of indigenous ancestry in the medical fields. You know, I just think sometimes about how cocky we get with like the clocks and the calendars that we have now. And the Mayan calendar, I think, is still one of like the most accurate, if not the most accurate calendar that has ever been created, right? So there's so much knowledge that exists in indigenous communities. And I think I'm just so excited to see more folks from that background come into the Western medical space and really enrich, you know, the research and everything that's going on. I also have to shout out the allies. Honestly, white men have been so helpful, honestly, in popularizing this stuff. Finance bros is really, you know, some of the people that really popularize ayahuasca and even mushrooms. Mushrooms was brought to the US by JP Morgan. So, I mean, listen, the ties to finance are deep. And because so many of these people are miserable, they actually go to the Amazon and spend months in the jungle getting better. You know, when you see a lot of these people kind of disappear, celebrities and so on, go ghost, they're typically in the jungle with me and my people, you know, trying to get better. And I think that that's beautiful. And I just hope that more of that comes to the forefront. I know people like Will Smith and all these other celebrities, Aaron Rodgers and whatnot, have been talking about their experiences with ayahuasca, with psilocybin. Some other people have been talking about Cambo. I know Mike Tyson has talking about Bufo and how, you know, smoking the toad actually helped him change his ways. You know, it helped him curb his aggression. It allowed him to tap into empathy and really see the pain that he was causing, the chaos, you know, that he was generating by his attitude and his behavior. So, you know, it's one of those things where like plant medicines are amazing, but because of sometimes lack of time and resources to go to the jungle and get access to these things, it's really hard to get them. And it's only celebrities and other people that have joined, you know, and have the time to go access them. So I love all the different practitioners that are also getting trained, going to the jungle, getting their initiations, doing things the traditional way so that they can provide these services to more people and provide it in a safe and educated way. Because unfortunately, there are a lot of liars out there. Not everyone is trained, you know, to do these things. And I'll actually keep it at 2. So that was a big one. The second thing is I just hope they, you know, Western doctors collaborate more with indigenous people. Honestly, just in the same way that in Zimbabwe and South Africa, I get called to join boardroom conversations. Hey, have a tribal board, right? Like have a board of traditional Chinese medicine practitioners, of Iboga practitioners, of indigenous Amazonian medicine practitioners, so that when you have, let's say, a patient that is of those traditions, you can tell them, hey, you know what? I would recommend Prozac, or I would recommend this, but also you should look into this board, or you should look into this research. You know, something that I've actually loved seeing, even in my colon cancer process, my doctor recognized my indigenous background and he said, hey, by law, this is what I can recommend on paper. But because of your background, you should look into this, and that medicine from your Amazonian background. And, you know, he just printed out research and did a gentle suggestion. And I think that that was beautiful. And that shows cultural competence. And that also shows emotional intelligence, because he was able to educate me in a way that, you know, really embraced my culture and allowed me to see my own culture and our own healing traditions as a viable and credible option for my betterment.
Yeah, I think that's really important. And I think that the shift in Western medicine accepting herbal medicine is becoming more apparent as time goes on. I know in my own studies, we practice a lot of cultural sensitivity in our patient practice settings, and we're encouraged not to push Western medicine, but to understand their beliefs, understand their natural traditions, and use that as ways to help them.
Right.
Great that, you know, Western medicine is becoming more aware of herbal medicine. How do we protect the indigenous roots of those medicines and practices, and how do we not let it be robbed, for lack of a better word, by white people, by those fake shamans, by people who have no roots in this?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you know what? There's going to be charlatans and liars and scammers in every field. I don't think that it's the best use of people's time to be constantly chasing people and trying to be a vigilante. What I tell people is speak truth to power. If you see something, say something, but then focus on finding the right person and doing the right thing. I'm always going to advocate for people finding indigenous, or indigenous trained healers of high integrity. Ask around, vet people. I mean, I don't think it's, too difficult to think through this. Let's not overcomplicate it. In the same way that for a job, they do a background check and they talk to like your references and they look at your resume, do the same exact thing. Right? Don't just take somebody's word. Oh, you're a healer. Cool. Who are your elders? Who trained you? Where did you train? Is there something that you can show me to, for me to know that you trained? Is there someone that you've already worked with that I can speak to? Can I speak to your elders? Is there somewhere that I can visit to know a little bit more about your background, about your lineage, about your tradition? Ask them questions, because when people start resisting or like trying to blame you or pin something on you for asking too many questions, you already know they're just trying to avoid. They're trying to avoid accountability. So run. I always tell folks, like, I much rather you guys hold off on a plant ceremony or on a herbal healing than you sit with someone or take medicine from someone that doesn't know what the heck they're doing, and then you're screwed. Right? Not everyone is trained to deal with some things. Some, herbalist things, chamomile, lavender, red clover, other things, I mean, you can even find online, right? So perfectly fine to work with an herbalist or someone that you find through a network. Nowadays, I mean, a lot of hospitals even have like community boards and other landing pages and websites where people can get access to, natural medicine and holistic, alternative methods. But when you're talking about some of the heavier hitters, even psilocybin, ayahuasca, jojoba yopo, floripondio, iboga, all of these things, make sure you do your homework. Ask a lot of questions. Do not sit with anyone if you have a gut feeling that something's not right. So that is what I would tell people.
All right. And then we also had a really good question in the comments. Mercy asked, are these medicines typically reserved for individuals from a specific background, or do you see a future where doctors promote herbal medicine to all patients?
I honestly see a future, and it's not even a future. I see a present. I see a present where doctors have already been suggesting medicine suggesting herbal medicine to people of all cultures. This is the thing though, right? So one of the rules, not only of nature, but this is in medicine as well, is that while there may be a lab-made medicine that is effective in treating some of your symptoms or even really curing, maybe treating what you have, the root cause, whatever is from your home country or the country of your ancestors, the country of your parents, has a higher likelihood of being effective, right? So just to give an example, for me, I grew up having chronic constipation, right? And what I realized is that part of the reason why I had so many issues there is because I made the switch, because it started happening when I moved to the United States. I made the switch from milk that was, gotten from a cow down the street to milk that was being created in a factory miles away, hundreds of miles away, right? And shipped and then sold in a big grocery store and all of that. I went from eating cheese made from, the milk of a goat that I knew by name to now eating government cheese and something that was created in really weird ways. So the way that I was eating shifted, and that actually made me sick. So what my doctor, something that really helped me when I was younger, is my doctor said, what does she eat back home? Oh, yams, eggs, whatever. Let's go back to that. Let's go back to root vegetables and things from her home country. And that actually really helped me for a very long time. It, regulated everything that I needed to regulate. And it was really effective for me. And that is actually something that may not help other people. Yucca or sweet potato or yams may actually not be as helpful for other people as it was for me. But this is a medicine, of my ancestors. It's something that they had been eating for a very long time. Aloe is something that we use to relieve constipation. It may not help for everybody, but because that's from my culture is going to be, it's going to have a higher effectiveness for me. That said, I mean, I've already seen, you know, different doctors tell folks like, oh, you're having bloating, gas, whatever, try poach high pills, you know, which is a Chinese medicine, instead of scopolamine and all these other things that they prescribe, because they've been seeing a lot of issues, you know, with these lab-made medications. And the problem with that is that it'll treat a symptom, but then it'll have contraindications, or the side effects are much worse. And I know we all know about this because we hear it on TV all the time. Like, oh yeah, if you have an issue, like take Zoloft, but the side effects is like suicidal ideation, diarrhea, and it's just like, they have to fast forward the side effects part because it's so much longer than the commercial, you know? And then you're forcing people to be like, okay, so do I want to be depressed or do I want diarrhea? Like, which one? Like doing these really weird trade-offs, when in nature you can find things that will treat your depression without giving you diarrhea, suicidal ideation, self-destructive behaviors, hypertension, and all of this other crap that is an unnecessary side effect of a medication. And I think like that's something when people think about medicine, they're like, I don't know about, you know, herbal medicine. It's something that I actually encourage them to ask. Like, if something is supposed to heal you, it cannot give you more illnesses or give you diseases that you didn't already have. So before you call something medicine, definitely look at the side effects list and make sure it's not worse than what you're trying to heal.
It's definitely food for thought.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of students on the live right now, and a lot of us struggle with depression, anxiety, stress during the semester, especially now around midterms. What are some herbal or some non-pharmacological remedies that you might suggest?
Oh my God, yes. I love this. I work with a lot of people in high stress situations, lawyers, negotiators, doctors in emergency rooms, students, mothers, single parents. So I love this question. So many things. Let's start with your body, right? I think it's really important to think of us as, you know, body and soul. I'll just kind of start right there. I think for your body, when you're in a high stress situation, move, dance, breathe. You know, your body sometimes just needs to shake it out, shake out all the stress, shake out the anxiety. If you notice, when you get stressed, when most people, I'd say 99% of people get stressed, they start tightening up, right? So you need to release, stretch. You know, if you cannot run because you have, you know, bad knees or whatever, go for a long walk, right? So move your body. That's very important. Nourish your body. Drink more water. Drink less caffeine. If you have to drink caffeine for a boost or whatever, cacao. I've been invited to a couple of colleges to do cacao ceremonies and teach people how to do cacao ceremonies for the students, so they actually have a natural, healthier option to caffeine, right? Because the thing that what I would say is, like, coffee is a great medicine if you have a coffee plantation nearby. But most people are buying coffee in a store from a place that they don't know. And that coffee has gone through so many different processes. By the time it gets to you, you know it gives you a kick, but you don't necessarily know all the other chemicals and crap that's put in it. So I love to do ceremonial cacao. That thing, I drink it once a week and it gives me energy for the whole week. So I definitely stand by it. It's one of my family's medicines. So I'm always happy to teach people how to make that. I had a couple of sisters and friends come over to my house recently for, you know, have a gathering, and we had cacao and other moments. I've also done it. It's so healing. It's heart opening. It's a great cardiovascular medicine, actually. And it doesn't give you the crash that coffee does because it's a pure form of caffeine. It's even better than green tea when it comes to the caffeine that it has. So I would definitely recommend cacao. Some people swear by rice coffee, which is a mushroom coffee. It's like a mushroom blend coffee. It is not psychoactive. You can buy it in the packages, order it on Amazon. It has a blend of mushrooms, and it is very, very, very grounding, very helpful. And once again, it is a much healthier, you know, energy granter than coffee. Because with coffee, you notice you're getting a lot of energy, but then you're borrowing from later on in your day because then you crash. Yeah. So it's almost like, okay, what was the point of that? And then the other things that I would say is like, hey, make sure that you're also nourishing your soul. So if you notice, when people get stressed out and they get sad, they start doing things that's against their love language. So if you like physical touch, you start isolating because you think you need to buckle down, right? If some people like words of affirmation, you'll see that they will actually do negative self-talk. Or if someone is saying, hey man, you're doing a good job. No, I'm not. There's so many things that have to be. That is what we do. So pay attention to your love languages and speak to yourself in your love language, especially when you are stressed out. You know, for me, I am a physical touch kind of girl. So when I'm really stressed out, I schedule massages and I put them on my calendar and I make sure I go, because I will make an excuse. I'll be like, oh, I'm so busy. I can't make this event. Let me call. And I'm like, you know what? No, I'm going to go and I'm going to postpone or move whatever I need to do. I'm going to take a break because I know that this is for my soul and this is for my body. So I make sure that I treat my body well and I treat my soul well. And the important thing to know about this is that these things may not feel good. I think we have an issue in society where we're like, if it doesn't feel good, then I don't want to do it, right? I'm going to live my best life, and my best life is doing things that just feel good. Some of us have been in toxic environments for most of our lives. So I'm sorry, but I'm going to break it to y'all. Y'all don't know what really is good for you, because what feels good is not always what is good for you, right? Going on a 3-mile walk when you are stressed out may not feel good, but it is good for you. You actually need that. You know, talking with a friend for an hour or two, just going for a walk in a garden, having an ice cream may not feel good because, oh, I have to sit here and bang out this paper. But that is absolutely what is good for you at that moment, because it is nourishing your soul, because it is nourishing your body, because you are isolating and you need to be in touch with people that can affirm you and can uplift you, right? So I always encourage people in high stress moments, take breaks, breathe, ground, focus on your senses. What do I smell right now? What am I tasting? What do I see? What do I hear? Right? Just nourish your body and nourish your soul. And even that goes a really long way. If you're doing all of that and nothing is helping, then come to me, because I will give you a list of teas and a list of all these different things to get your body right. But I'll leave you guys with that for now.
And I think also, like, in terms of students often have like small spaces and only have access to kitchens. What are some just small things you can get from the grocery store, whether it be like snacks or a drink, to really help facilitate that wellness?
Yeah, I would say in terms of eating, I always recommend for people to, if they can eat fish, to eat fish. Have salmon, but also have a lot of white fish, tilapia, you know, and so on. Sole, you know, because you need the omega-3s for your brain. You know, have carrot juice. Carrot juice is amazing for so many different things, but it's great for your eyesight. A lot of us, I'm not going to name names, but we're nerds, proud, and we would read at night. I would read with my phone light on sometimes, you know, or I would be out here doing, literally writing papers in like candlelight, or very just poorly, you know, poorly lit rooms. And that was a strain on my eyes, so much so that I ended up having to get corrective surgery when I was 29 years old because I was going blind. I was like 6 months away from being legally blind, right? So carrot juice, it's amazing for your eyes. I also recommend beetroot juice. It's amazing for your cardiovascular health. It's a great blood cleanser. So I definitely recommend beetroot juice. Celery juice, fantastic detoxer. Some people are giving themselves high blood pressure trying to keep up with society. Trying to keep up with the Joneses. This girl just got a fellowship to whatever, and then this guy just got, you know, a Mackenzie thingy. So you're giving yourself high blood pressure, baby. Let's not do that. Go get you some celery juice. Go, you know, drink all of that, clean yourself out. Celery juice is amazing, not only in helping you get, you know, like just to lower your blood pressure, but also to just help your blood flow, detox you from anything that doesn't belong, any heavy metals, any excess salt and sugar. So it is magnificent to really just bring your blood pressure to where it needs to be. It's even really helpful as far as like insulin and, just regulating all of that. So I highly recommend, if people have diabetes, tomato juice, beet juice, carrot juice, all those things are definitely really helpful to regulate the sugar in your blood as well.
That's good to know. We're writing notes. We're writing notes over here.
Absolutely.
Notes.
One last thing that I will say, white onion. So I think that, it's onions and garlic are so underrated. And if you talk to anyone who is an Ayurvedic practitioner or, is of Indian origin, they may be able to tell you that for a lot of them, onion and garlic are medicines. They don't eat it with like every single food because it is such a good medicine, but it also irritates some people's stomachs. So you can't necessarily be eating it with every single thing. If you notice, there is a lot of gastrointestinal distress and bloating and gas in like Latin American people who are coming from Latin America because we cook almost everything. All of our sazones are with garlic and onion. So I think, I'm saying that so that people can be more aware of their gastrointestinal distress, the bloating, the gas, the like constipation, and check how much onion and garlic am I putting in this? Because it may be irritating my stomach instead of helping me. I also say that because one of my favorite remedies for the flu, for viruses, for colds, for respiratory infections, is making a tea of citrus fruits. So I love putting in sweet orange, lemons, limes. I'll squeeze the juice. I'll also cut, one of the lemons or the limes and put it in to the tea, with the rind. And then I'll have ginger. I'll cut up a whole bunch of ginger. Ginger is one of my favorite medicinal roots. I'll put in ginger and water. And then you can add honey, sweeten it as you want to with honey. That is so, so helpful. And I'll throw a white onion in. White onions kind of draw out the infection from your body. And listen, that is so helpful. I've been making that tea for a while. My mother has fatty liver disease, and I've actually been treating her with iboga and that tea. And she's been able to shed just so much. She actually lost a few pounds already, which she was, of course, very, like any Latin mom, she was very, very happy about that. But, she was able to shed some weight, which is very important, shedding visceral fat, which is organ fat, when you're trying to improve your chances of fixing up your liver. Because if you have fatty liver disease and that goes unchecked for a while, that actually turns into diabetes. So for her, being able to drink that tea that I made just with lemon and ginger and onion, and I added an apple just for a little razzle dazzle and just to sweeten up the deal. Sometimes I'll add slices of pear, that actually helped her detox, assist the detox of her liver, cut the fat, and also shed the other phlegm and inflammation that was in her body. And that's been extremely helpful. And I swear by that tea. I drink it all the time, which is the reason why you see me with a mug of tea all the time. And it is very, very helpful because it prevents me from getting sick. And when I do get sick, because seasonal allergies happen, things happen, I'm sick probably for like 2 days at most. I don't remember the last time I was sick. So yeah. And listen, I can go on and on about this, so I'll cut it there. But one of my favorite remedies is actually drawing out infections and healing sprained ankles with potatoes. Conversation for a different day, but that's also a really fun treatment because you mash the potatoes and you put them around the infected area, and then you'll see, like, in a matter of hours, your swelling goes down and the infection starts going into the potato. Mother Nature is undefeated. Period.
And then a final question is that if someone wanted to follow your shoes and go into the herbal medicine route and not a traditional doctor in Western medicine route, how would they go about that? Where would they start?
Go to the jungle, baby. Listen, there are so many become a shaman in 2-week courses. That's all BS. I was saying, right, it's BS, right? You cannot become even an MD in 4 years, right? You need at least 4 years of, at least in the United States, you need to finish high school. You need 4 years, sometimes 5 years, you know, if you're at a place like Northeastern, and that's assuming you're going everything straight through, you know, to finish college. And then there's medical school, and then there's internships and apprenticeships and fellowships and all the different ships. So I will say, baby, get on a ship and sail to the jungle and train in the jungle, because you know what's important once you're there is for you to familiarize yourself with all of the different plants in a particular region. So African medicine is gorgeous and it is plentiful. I do my training in Gabon, and I work a lot with my African brothers and sisters throughout Africa, constantly learning from even other traditional healers of different lineages. There's a lot of overlap actually, and I get to learn so much from them and they get to learn from me. Now I'm going to the Brazilian Amazon. They actually are interested in learning a little bit more about what I've done in Africa. And there's going to be an exchange there as well. I'm going to be working with the Hunin Queen, which I am super excited for. It's one of my grandfather lineages. So I'm going to be there absorbing everything that I can from them. It's more of a cultural experience for me than sitting with medicine to heal. I've done all my healing with Iboga. Iboga got me straight. So, you know, it's something that's so exciting for me. And I will always tell people, get trained by indigenous people of high integrity. I'm not saying that all indigenous people are people who can train you, right? Do your research in the same way that I would always advise people if they're looking for college, you know, they're looking for a good job or whatever, ask questions, go on the Glassdoor, see what the reviews are. Same thing with indigenous healers, you know, and traditional medicine people who can teach. Ask other folks, hey, have you learned from this person? What was your perspective? Go visit, go spend a week out there and just tap into as much as you can and see kind of what the vibe is. But definitely do your research and go there, learn, exchange, absorb everything, use logic, make sure it is actually effective, make sure it works, train. Usually when you're working in an indigenous setting, there'll be a lot of cases. You know, it's very much about, hey, we're learning theory and we're doing the practice like today, right now. So do a lot of the hands-on training. You know, I love Mugenda's village, which is where I train in Gabon with Mugenda Mikala. I have some of my Bwiti brothers and sisters on the call. So hey folks, love you guys. Base Bas and Yao Yao. And I would always recommend people to go to Gabon to learn about Iboga and get trained there. If you're looking to understand ayahuasca, figure out what lineage, right? There's a Colombian Yahe lineage. There's a Shipibo lineage in Peru. There's Ecuadorian lineages, and it goes on and on and on. Find someone from that lineage and go there and train. And if you don't have the time to train, well, you know what? Find it. And if you can't find it, then maybe it's not a path for you. And that is okay. You can still find a lot of healing and train yourself in different modalities by going online and finding out, hey, what are all the different things that I can do with red clover? What are all the different things that I can do with aloe? Ayahuasca, iboga, psilocybin, they're not the only medicines. We literally have an entire planet full of incredible magical herbs and spices and plants. Speak with your grandparents. Speak with your aunties and uncles that live back there in the countryside. You know, I'm sure they have so many things that they can teach you. So I actually, if I'm being honest with you, when people come to me and they're like, I want to become a medicine person and I feel called to blah, 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 how can I go about it? I say, talk with your family. Start there. Figure out where you come from. What are the medicines that you guys traditionally use to heal colds, flus, headaches? Start there and then pull on that thread and reconnect with your ancestry. Because I feel, you know, anyone can learn how to serve Aya. Anyone can learn how to serve, you know, different medicines. But when you really connect to the medicines from your ancestry, from your lineage, from your grandpapa's medicine, oof, that hits different. So I'll always recommend that path first.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so interesting to hear. This is my whole discipline, Western medicine, but I don't believe that's always their first choice. And I never really asked my parents like what they did. They always asked me like, oh, what should we take? And I'm like, well, let me look through my notes. But I never asked them like, what did you take? Like, you know, what did my grandparents take for simple things? But also, thank you so much for joining us today. I was really excited to have this. Really excited to have this. This is our first event of the semester. But is there like, how can people like follow you? How can people keep up with you?
Yeah, well, I would say I have a presence online. If you want to find me on Instagram, you can find me as iboga.yaoyao. And you can even look it up, Yao Yao Wellness, and find me. Same thing on TikTok, same thing on Facebook. I also have a YouTube page. So just look up Yao Yao Wellness, and most likely you're going to see a logo with an African mask. That's me. And Yao Yao is spelled Y-A-O-U space Y-A-O-U space and then wellness, the typical American spelling. So yes, Yao Yao Wellness, that's me. And if anyone wants to follow me personally, that's Cash Me Outside because I stay outside. And that is cash.me.outside with three S's. And yeah, I am happy to connect with anyone. Honestly, don't feel that you need to be prepared or have something neat to say. Just reach out. If you guys want a consultation, I run free consultations for students. If you want me to come in and do workshops or do any sort of training or just educational exchange with, elementary schools, middle schools, your class, your dorm room, your just let me know. And if I am in the United States, I'll always be happy and more than willing to do a group session because I love this. I love this work. And, as I said earlier, it saddened me and it was very shocking for me to see so many people who were millionaires accessing this medicine, and the black and brown people who truly own this medicine in our DNA, the people that come from these lineages, have no idea of them, have no access, have been told that these medicines are demonic, that it's going to change their mind. All of this anti-blackness is disgusting. The racism, the anti-indigeneity, we were colonized to believe that Mother Nature was evil, that praying to the sun was satanic, and that we had to believe in, a particular deity that people didn't have a true concept of, and a deity that looked like them, the colonizer. So I would say, I encourage people to follow whatever beliefs they have. That's perfectly fine. But I definitely encourage people to use logic. And Mother Nature is all around us, has always been there, supporting us, nourishing us, and just trying to help us grow and flourish and thrive. One of my favorite Bouddhi teachings is we're not a part of nature, we are nature. So I just hope that people feel encouraged after this conversation to look at nature and see it as the grand master healer that it is.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure.
Bye, everyone. Thank you guys so much for joining us as well. All right. Have a good night, everyone.
Bye.